other radio stations listen to.
A very beautiful morning to you once again. Welcome. This is Perspectives Unlimited right here on Wales Radio 89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio. We're reaching you live from Wales Broadcasting House along Alaafin Avenue, Oluyole Estate, Ibadan. And it's exactly 6:33 a.m. Today, the third day in the month of September 2025. And this morning, we bring you stories from our various national dailies this morning in a bid to help you to further be aware about happenings around Nigeria this morning. So welcome. My name is Toluwaleke Alli. And alongside with the analysts in the studio this morning, we will be analyzing some of the news stories that we can find across our various national dailies this morning. First, let's take a look at the front pages of some of our national dailies for today, Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025. On the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, Tinubu sets aside NTA appointments, recalls DG, ED News. That story can be found on page 3 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Obasanjo, Abdusalami, Jonathan push for accessible healthcare. And that is on page 29. Fresh quake in Afghanistan. as death toll rises to 1,400. To check more on that story, go check out page 38 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And the lead story on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning: thugs disrupt Katsina elders meeting. And it has a rider as Rada leads stakeholders to Tinubu. Story begins on the front page and continues on pages 4, 5, and 6 of the Daily Trust newspaper for this morning. President meets CPC bloc, says Nigeria not borrowing locally. And that's on page 10. PDP insists on convention despite new demands from Wike's camp. That story can be found on page 14 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Experts predict Naira stability. CBN injects fresh $50 million. That's on page 27. And the final story on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning: Super Eagles hit camp for World Cup qualifiers. And that's on page 46. Moving on to the front page of the Punch newspaper, above the masthead, again, Southwest tops as voter pre-registration hits 2.5 million. And that's on page 7. Tariff war. Respect state electricity regulators. Federal government warns discos. And that's on page 23 of the Punch newspaper. CNG price hits 450 naira as federal government withdraws subsidies. That's on page 21 of the Punch newspaper this morning. 2025 revenue target met. No more borrowing. That's according to the president, and it's on page 28 of the Punch newspaper for this morning. The late story: convention. Wike's camp demands ignite fresh PDP feud, and it has a rider. Makine's camp. Party governors, BOT, reject FCT ministers' convention conditions. Demagom's removal. Others. That's on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Customs intercept firearms, 4,841 ammunition in Southwest. That's on page 23. National Assembly cautions WAEC on planned CBT rollout. That story can also be found on page 28 of the Punch newspaper. Three Lagos laborers found dead in makeshift apartment. And the story can be found on pages 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. And final story on the front page of the Punch newspaper for this morning: Atiku slams federal government as bandits sack Kwara village. And that's on page 28. Moving on to the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. DMO tells states to prioritize PPP, not borrowing. And that's on page 20 of the Vanguard newspaper. We've met our revenue target, no longer borrowing from domestic banks. And that's according to the president, and that's on page 26. Ward redelineation. INEC under fire as the Shekiri nation calls for probe. That's on page 12. National Convention. PDP draws battle line with Wike's camp, and it has a couple of riders. Wike's camp cites court orders, demands fresh congresses in Anambra, Ebonyi, Southeast. Warns against microzoning of presidential ticket. Others. You can't hold party to ransom. PDP fires back. There's Wike, Autumn, Fayoshe, Ikpeazu, Ogwai, others to form faction. Mohammed, Fintiri, Wabara, Demagom, talk tough. That story can be found on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper for this morning. States have no excuse not to pay beyond 70,000 naira minimum wage. That's according to NECA. And story is on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. Visa overstay. US, UK ramp up warnings, may ban violators. That's on page 8. Ghana president fires Chief Justice over abuse of office. That's on page 7 of the Vanguard newspaper. And the final story is on page 32. Eagles camp comes alive as training begins in Uyo. Moving on to the front page of the Guardian newspaper, which will be the final front page we'll take a look at this morning. Defense headquarters denies armed forces supporting payment of criminal groups. That's on page 3. Federal government lists 91 public firms for privatization. Story can also be found on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Still on page 3, Dangote Refinery exports first gasoline cargo to U.S. Battle for Buhari's 12.7 million ballots. Tinubu Pali's CPC group says revenue target met amid data gaps. That can be found on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper for this morning. Enough is enough. PDP governors tell Wike dismiss threat to abort convention. And that's on page 6. Opposition seeks legal redress for Rivers local government poll irregularities. And the story can be found on page 28 of the Guardian newspaper for this morning. ADC accuses Tinubu of nepotism as Atiku decries rising insecurity. And that's on page 29. CVR, Oshun maintains lead with 474,372 as INEC registers 2.5 million in 2 weeks. And story can be found on page 2 of the Guardian newspaper. And the final story on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. Court voids mandatory 15-year service requirement for soldiers. And that's on page 5. And these are the stories across the front pages of some of our national dailies this morning. All right, joining me in the studio this morning is the analyst Chukwemeka Munachi. So good morning, Chukwemeka.
Good morning, Tolu.
All right. Let's begin with the Punch newspaper, starring the Punch newspaper, but of course it's also across various national dailies this morning. 2025 revenue target met. No more borrowing. And that's according to the president. I'll take some of that story. President Bola Tinubu on Tuesday in Abuja declared that Nigeria had met its revenue target for 2025 ahead of schedule and would no longer rely on borrowing to fund its budget. Addressing stakeholders of the Boa organization who visited him at the presidential villa in Abuja, Tinubu said his administration's non-oil revenue drive had yielded enough to meet this year's projections by August, reducing Nigeria's dependence on external loans. And he also said the exchange rate had stabilized after initial turbulence, noting that the naira had appreciated from over 100 1,900 naira per dollar to about 1,450 naira per dollar since it unified the foreign exchange windows last year. And in its 2025 Appropriation Act, the federal government budgeted a total revenue target of 18.32 trillion naira to fund a record 28.78 trillion naira budget. And this included 7.94 trillion naira in oil revenue and another 10.39 trillion naira from non-oil sources, reflecting the administration's renewed push to diversify Nigeria's income away from crude oil dependence.
Well, it is a good report if actually it is rooted in reality. You understand? Because we have had so many things that are not just adding up. If they have met the revenue target, it should also reflect on the people, because I keep saying it that economy is the people and the people is the economy. If they have met the revenue target and yet it is not reflecting on what Nigerians are going through, then it calls for question. So it's a good idea. It's a good outing. It's a good one from the president. But we will wait till we begin to see the reality of what he has said on the ground. Diversifying economy has been the bane of our country because we depend solely on oil. And when you talk of agriculture, would have been the thing that would have given us an edge over other countries, especially in West Africa. Let me not talk of Africa. Because we have arable land, we have what it takes to grow what we eat. But unfortunately, we have not been able to tackle insecurity, which has chased the farmers away from the farm. When you hear of tractors being imported, seedlings coming in and everything, you begin to wonder, where will they plant it? And also, there is another challenge in agriculture, which is the challenge of GMO. This GMO thing, Nigerians have not been able to be told the truth about what GMO is all about. Because people should be labeled. When you grow GMO food, Nigerians should know which one is GMO and which one is not GMO. And some countries have outrightly rejected GMO food because of its attendant health challenges. But it appears we have embraced it in Nigeria. And it is not helping us. It's not going to help us. So I challenge the government to let Nigerians know food that is GMO and the one that is not GMO. Because there are health implications in consuming GMO foods. If you go to market right now, you see that they will show you some beans they will tell you this one is sweet, as if you added sugar to it. And it doesn't take a longer time before it is done, like 20 or 30 minutes. But beans takes time. So the Nigerians should know what they are eating. If we want to diversify, Nigerians must know what they are eating. Back to what we are saying. If the federal government has met its own projections, hooray, is a welcome development. But we need to see it reflect on the people. That's my submission.
All right, this morning we're live on Facebook, so you can watch us live on Facebook at Wells Radio 893 FM fan page, at Wells Radio 893 FM fan page, and you can drop your comments on Facebook as we go on the show this morning. And the phone lines to also call to be a part of the show are 0916 893 1000. 0916 893 1000 or 0915 333 4893. 0915 333 4893 or 0911 333 893. 0911 333 893. Those are the phone lines for you to call to be a part of the show this morning. Let's move on to the Vanguard newspaper. Minimum wage. States have no excuse not to pay beyond 70,000 naira, and that's according to NECA. Following the rising cost of living in the country and its impact on the people, as well as the increase in federal allocations to all tiers of government, the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association, NECA, has said state governments had no excuse not to pay civil servants above the 70,000 naira minimum wage. Director General of NECA, Adewale Smart Oyerinde, who stated this in a televised interview yesterday, said the increased inflow of revenue from the Federation account had reduced the argument of some states about their inability to pay. Recall that in July 2024, President Bola Tinubu signed the minimum wage bill into law, ending months of deliberations between government authorities, labor unions, and the private sector. And he signed it at the State House, Abuja, days after the National Assembly passed the Minimum Wage Act 2019 to increase the national minimum wage from 30,000 naira to 70,000 naira. But of course, in some states, some state governors increased the minimum wage for the civil servants in their respective states. And just recently, that was on the 27th of August, Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma approved an increase of the minimum wage for workers in Imo State from 70,000 naira to 104,000 naira in order to be able to improve the welfare of workers in the state. And about 24 hours later, Ebonyi State government also announced a new minimum wage of 90,000 naira with immediate effect for all civil servants and public servants. So now, NECA said that there's no state that has an excuse when you talk about the current reality, especially with people who are still struggling with the price of petrol and not a lot of states yet to get enough CNG buses and all of that. Do you think NECA is right saying that states can now afford above 70,000?
You see, as a one thing you have to understand, Tolu, is that governors have a lot of money to play with. There's a revenue windfall for them. But the painful aspect of what is going on is that many of them are not looking into the critical infrastructure deficit in their states. They don't. And they have this money. Maybe they are waiting for 2027 because everything now is towards 2027. It is the challenge of buying power is what is affecting a lot of Nigerian wage earners, people who earn salary. 70,000 naira cannot take you to the bus stop. No talk of taking you home. If there is no state in that's why I keep saying that, look, we can't run away from restructuring this country. I will tie it to restructuring. Because in a real normal federal system of government, you don't say a state should pay such amount of money. It's not a uniform payment. 70,000 naira as minimum wage across board is wrong. If we are operating a federal system of government, each state will determine what to pay its workforce, depending on what they get from that state. But because we are operating unitary system of government, everything is done by fiat. And yet, we expect some states that are not solvent to pay this kind of money. Where will they get the money? Because the center is feeding the states, which is abnormal. It is the states that should contribute to the center. But in Nigeria, the center is feeding the state. That's why the 70,000 naira minimum wage, some states are finding it difficult to pay because they don't have the same capability financially to pay their workforce. Now, Imo State has raised its own to 104, which is still a suspect. Because a lot of people are saying that, will this man continue paying this thing? Is he not just to play to the gallery? But let's wait and see how it goes a palace in Imo State. Now, a state like Zamfara State, do you think they will even be struggling to pay the 70,000 naira? Governors have a lot of money. That's why Katsina State governor, not knowing what to do with money, is going with 680 million to and walk into a graveyard to renovate graveyard. Yes. Can you make sense out of it? A governor of a state walking into a graveyard to renovate graveyards with 608 million. Governors are renovating government houses with humongous amount of money. A house that only one single individual will, they don't even live there because they have a lot of money to play with. So that is why, if anybody, NECA is right by saying that there is no excuse for any governor not to pay above the minimum wage. Minimum wage, 70,000 naira is ridiculous. It's not even up to a recharge card that some of these our representatives consume in a day. And may I even shock you, it's on record that 48 members of the House of Representatives have not even contributed anything on the floor. And every month they go home with 21 million naira. In a country where the minimum wage is 70,000 naira. Go and check. 48 members of the House of Representatives, they have not, 48 members as House of Rep and 5 senators have never raised up their hand to contribute anything on the floor of the House. And at the end of the month, they go home with 21 million, 15 million. Apart from allowances, and is there somebody that will jump from Kekemarawa to Okada is going home with 70,000 naira that will not take him to the bus stop? How do you explain it in a normal set of it? So NECA is saying the obvious. Everybody knows that, look, 70,000 naira minimum wage cannot take anybody anywhere. And governors have but the issue is that most Nigerians are not even asking their governors question. The money you collect on our behalf, what do you do with it? Because there's no platform for the citizens to participate. That's why our democracy is the hybrid. Honestly speaking, because democracy is about the people. I keep saying it. It's you representing me. Don't I have the right to ask you, what are you doing with the money you collected on my behalf? We have not been able to factor that into the kind of democracy we are practicing. That's why governors behave like emperors in their states and they get away with everything they do. You don't have to do that. The money belongs to the people. You go to Abuja to collect the money. Yes, the money belongs to the people. Why must you spend the money? Look at, okay, the one that's renovating graveyard with 680 million. Was it not State House of Assembly that approved it? That's why they always struggle that they will get men in the State House Assembly who will always koto. I will call them Man Friday, people who will do your bidding. Whether you are wrong, right or wrong, they will ask you go ahead as governor. Governors have a lot of money to play with. 70,000 naira minimum wage is nothing in Nigeria of today. I read one piece. Somebody said that if you are earning below 500,000 naira in Nigeria today, you are a wretched man. I mean, it's true. Look at how much you spend on transportation. Look at food. Just tell me anything okay, CNG price has gone up now.
I was actually
we are coming. It has gone up. You understand? Nigerians are now shunning filling stations. People are not. They go to filling stations. How many cars do you see there? People have shunned it. And most people trek. I come here very early in the morning. 4:30, I'm on the road. And I know what I see on people walking as if they are coming from vigil. Honestly speaking. And that's the level where we are today. So, and governors have this money. Where are they spending it? Obasanjo and Jonathan are talking of making health accessible. They are not, because they don't get treated here. Why should we make health accessible when you are not treated here? They fly abroad for toothache, for eczema. And yet, people patronize abo sellers. And you have the money to fix the healthcare system. And you are not fixing it. And nobody is even asking them any question. Is that democracy? Is that, that's why when they say people are gathering for a coalition and all these things, I'm disinterested. Because are you gathering for the people to make life better for the people? Governance is about making life better for the people than you made it. Are we better off today in Nigeria? That's the question. Are we, with all the money we have, do you know, I can liken it to oil windfall during the Gulf War, that Babangida fretted everything away. Until today, nobody asks him any question. You don't run a country that way. Country belongs to the people. The land belongs to the people. The house, as we say, Kazamuche, the land belongs to the people. Without the people, there's no governance. You understand? And And this thing we are talking about, the reason why Africa, not only Nigeria, we have bad leadership is because we don't ask, we don't take our leaders, we don't ask them questions. They are not accountable to us. They treat people as if they are nobody. So that's why they do what they do. Governors have a lot of money in their pockets. Citizens of each state should ask their governors, what are you doing with our money?
All right, we're going to commercial break now. When we get back, Perspectives Unlimited continues.
How long will it take you to confirm payment? I have been waiting for the past 1 hour.
I'm so sorry. Our network is slow. I will just run out of data.
Same excuse yesterday. It is unacceptable, please. You better switch to One Data Internet Service.
One Data?
Yes, One Data. One Data is an internet service provider with the best alternative and solution for unlimited speed. One Data provides fast and reliable internet service to organizations, homes, and places of interest in Nigeria. With One Data, you get to enjoy the premium internet service with dedicated unlimited internet speed at all times, 24/7 fantastic customer service and support, and you enjoy a 1-month free subscription when you make payment. Now is the time to say goodbye to downtimes. Sign up with One Data today on 0811 223 2671 or visit www.onedata.ng for more inquiries. One Data, unlimited speed.
The Financial Services Regulation Coordinating Committee, FSRCC, in collaboration with the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, wishes to draw the attention of the public to the activities of illegal financial operators, IFOs, which threaten public trust and the stability of the Nigerian financial system. The general public is hereby advised to refrain from dealing with unlicensed financial operators who deceive individuals with unrealistically high investment returns. Verify the licensing status of such schemes on these websites: www.cbn.gov.ng, www.nicom.gov.ng, www.pencom.gov.ng, www.sec.gov.ng, www.fsrcc.gov.ng. To report any suspicions of illicit financial activities, call CBN 0817-665-7060, 0707-338-4828, SEC 0209-462-1168. Announcer, FSRCC.
Boost your business with Wells Radio 89.3 FM. In a competitive world of business, strategic brand and product positioning is key to growth. Don't remain unseen in the shadows. Shine a spotlight on your brand with Wells Radio 89.3 FM today. Why Wells Radio? We are your state's #1 family radio station. We connect with the heart of families in your state. As the smallest unit of the society, families trust Wells Radio for quality content and information. Visit us today along Alafin Avenue, Oluyole Estate, Ibadan. Our white and blue building just before Sharp Corner ensures your business won't go unnoticed. Advertise with us today. Call our marketing office on 0903 936 8185. Call Toby on 0803 509 3394. Yomi on 0706 616 5053. Take the leap today. Let Wells Radio 89.3 FM be the megaphone for your business success. You won't regret it.
89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio.
Welcome back. You can be a part of the conversation this morning by calling the phone lines 0916 893 1000, 0916-893-1000 or 0915-333-4893. 0915-333-4893. 0911-333-893. 0911-333-893. Those are the phone lines for you to call to be a part of the show this morning. And you can drop your WhatsApp messages on 0915 999 893. 0915 999 893. Drop your comments on Facebook as well, on our Facebook page at Wells Radio 893 FM fan page, at Wells Radio 893 FM fan page, and we'll be sure to take your comments this morning. Now let's move on to this CNG matter now. The Punch newspaper, CNG price hits 450 naira per standard cubic meter as the federal government withdraws subsidies. Amid long queues and insufficient refilling stations, the cost of 1 standard cubic meter of compressed natural gas has jumped from 230 to 450 naira. It was gathered, according to the Punch newspaper, from retailers that the government revealed the price recently to 450 naira, reducing its subsidies. However, while trucks pay 450 naira, that's per standard cubic meter, car drivers and commercial drivers still enjoy some subsidies as they pay 380 naira for 1 standard cubic meter of what the government calls a cheaper alternative to petrol and diesel. The program director of the Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative, Michael Oluwagbemi, was not okay. It wasn't available to pick because I believe our newsmen were trying to ask him questions, but it wasn't available to pick his calls. But an official of the PCNGI who wanted to remain anonymous said he was not authorized to speak on the new development.
You see, when the CNG came out as a cheaper alternative to... Okay.
Let's talk to this person. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
This is Adinka from Muslim.
Welcome to the show, Adinka.
Thank you. Concerning the minimum wage on some states that are yet to meet up, it's so sad that up to now, I hope that by now all states have to have been paying the new minimum wage due to the state of the economy of the nation. So I'll just urge them that they should please try and do the needful. And I give kudos to some states that have started paying, the likes of Lagos or Osun, that has increased their minimum, which is a good work. But much more is still being expected from them. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much.
So when the CNG was, when we were told that it is the cheaper alternative to fuel, I knew that it will not remain at that price. That a time is coming when they will jack it up, which has happened. It's not even about the CNG. The issue is that the price of conversion to convert to CNG. How many people can afford to pay millions in order to convert? You understand? So we are gradually getting to a situation where the fuel will remain where it is. The CNG will be coming up to meet to almost compete at the same price, but it still remains a cheaper alternative. But how many people are using it? I've seen 1 or 2 Kakemarua that are using it. You understand? And though when I made inquiries to find out how the Nigerians, how they look at you, they don't want to talk to you and everything like that. But I will still find out what it costs them to fix that thing. Another thing again I like so much is that we are not hearing of blasts, people trying to fix it by themselves. It happened initially when this thing was rolled out. Mechanics, as we went to town, vulcanizers, all of them, thinking that there is something they can weld that together and everything. We heard about blast in Bini and so many places. But thank God that we have been able to nip that in the bud. We've not heard about any explosion again as a result of trying to fix the CNG gas. So we thank God for that. If it is the work of the government, we thank government for that we are not losing lives again in a bid to fix. Or maybe because Nigerians are no longer looking into CNG, being that the price is gradually increasing as well. So if these subsidies are removed and there is a lot of money in the hands of the government, I keep saying that this thing must reflect on the people. You can't be making money and people are suffering. You can't be meeting your target and there's nothing for people to show for it. The president told governors, especially APC governors, that they should take dividends of democracy to the grassroots. Are they taking it to the grassroots? They are not taking it to the grassroots. Because the president knows how much the governors are collecting on a monthly basis. But the grassroots are suffering. So now we are talking of a healthcare system. They are not working. Go to some of the healthcare centers. What do you find there? You understand? So the money in your hand, what are you using the money to do? Where are the infrastructure you are putting the money into? That's the big question. And this is happening because Nigerians are not asking their leaders. I keep saying that Nigeria is the only one of the countries where it is very easy to be a leader. Very, very easy. Just go to sleep. When you wake up, treat them like as if you're a monarch. Nobody will ask you any question. And where there's no continuity, governors will be, or despite this money that is in their hand, they will still keep on borrowing, leaving the debt for other incoming governors. Because there's not, if a situation where you leave office, you don't give account of what you spent, people will not ask you question. People will keep on borrowing, knowing that at the end of the day, I will leave. Anybody that will come, we clean the urgent stable. But it doesn't work that way. In a normal country, when you become a leader and you are about to leave, you will we have a long way to go. A long way. Honestly speaking, if you have read about many countries, how they developed and everything, you know that Nigeria, we haven't even started. Because leadership, everything boils down on leadership. Leadership is key to development. Where leadership is wrong, everything goes wrong. Where there's no accountability in leadership, forget about development. Nigeria would have been, look at South Korea. We started with them when we started Ajaokuta rolling mill. South Korea today is exporting steel. They're exporting a lot of things. We can't even produce a spoon in Nigeria. And we started at the same time. And go and check how much we spent in Ajaokuta. Go and check how much we have spent on our refineries that are not working, which they are mooting the idea of selling them. Who are those that will buy them? The same people that ruined it, we go back and buy it. Because there's no accountability.
Let's talk to this person. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, West Radio.
Good morning.
My name is George. I'm calling you from Ologwe.
Welcome to the show, Mr. George.
Thank you very much. You know, when this issue of CNG started, I said people are rushing towards that place now. And very soon, government will increase the price of this CNG fuel. And people will start suffering all over again. Now, they're telling us that there's no more problem, that they have made more money. For what source did they make that money? After you have borrowed enough, you stored it somewhere. You said the economy is now improving. Which source? Which is it? From oil, sales of oil, or from which other things, other resources that you got this money that you are now saying that there's no more borrowing? When did you stop borrowing? You see, these people are deceiving us. Okay, you push people to go and start changing their vehicle to CNG source of fuel. And today you are increasing the price of CNG. Do you have the people in mind? Do you have the poor masses in mind with what you are doing? It's very unfortunate that we are having this type of set of people as those who are governing the affairs of this country. Thank you.
Thank you for your contribution on the show this morning, Mr. George. 0916-893-1000, 0915-333-4893. or 0911 333
So, the CNG thing we are talking about, we just pray that the because the subsidy has been removed, so it is now the reality will now dawn on people who have gone to check to convert their vehicles to CNG.
And this is even also happening, amidst the fact that we don't have enough refilling stations.
I don't know how many. I think in Ibadan here we have only one.
That's long
the one at the one at the toll gate. That's the problem. So if people go there to convert or to fill, the queues will be long. We are not, Tolu, the problem is that we are not prepared for things we do. Everything in a normal country, where there are checks and balances, where there is love of the people, where there is patriotism, where leadership believe that they are serving the people, you do things in phases. Before you come up with CNG, you make sure that there are enough places where people can go and refill. You make sure that the price of conversion is minimized. But we didn't do any of these things.
Hello, good morning. Hello. Hello. Please do well to call back.
So we didn't do any of these things. We just came out in a fire brigade measure and said, CNG, go and check other countries that started this thing with us. Even the fuel subsidy we removed, go and check what Ghana did. Go and check what Indonesia, Malaysia, go and check what they did. Philippines, before they removed fuel subsidy.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, West Radio.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, my name is Salami. I'm calling from Mawoton.
Welcome to the show, Mr. Salami.
Thank you very much. You see, to hear again this morning that the federal government has removed subsidy from the CNG, honestly speaking, it's another headache again, because like one begins to wonder what area exactly is President Tinubu trying to make life easy for the masses, for the poor. And that is why some people have kind of labeled this regime as pro-rich. Believe me sincerely. Ordinarily, I said this a long time ago, that if Mr. President really wanted to encourage the use of CNG buses and cars and trucks, the president ought to have started by working on the conversion rate, from the diesel from petrol.
Sorry.
We lost Mr. Salami's call. Mr. Salami, please do well to call back. 0916-893-1000, 0915-333-4893, or 0911-333-893.
So, as I was saying before that call came in, go and check what these countries did. Because they love their people. Leadership is in love with the people. They put it in place. Even Iran, no matter how warlike they are, go and check what they did. They first of all factored in how will it affect the people? How do we do this? Let us do it in a way that the people will not be so much affected when we remove the subsidy. Our own subsidy is gone. No preparation. Nothing. And that's where we are today. Even the cash transfer, other countries, so many countries did it. But they did it in a way that there's no way how many Nigerians have received this cash transfer? Go and check what other countries did. I've read it up. What they did, how they monitored the thing. Our own, we carry billions and give to somebody. We call humanitarian minister. Whatever he does with it, nobody cares. Where is the data we are using to distribute this money? How do we know vulnerable Nigerians? Where are they? Where are they living? Nothing. And we just carry humongous amount of money, dump on somebody who has not seen that kind of money before. What do you expect the person to do? And that is why we just see it on paper. So billions spent on what is it? Many countries did cash transfer, but they did it in a way. If you see the system they used, you will know that even though it's not foolproof, but at least they'll be better than what we are doing here. Because we are not data-friendly society. So there's no way you tell people that you have distributed. Who did you give the money? When Buhari was there, Osibanjo was working all over market, sharing to trader money. How many people received the trader money? We keep on doing things because we don't sit down to think things through before we begin to implement them. Look at where we are today. CNG. Before many countries would have done it in phases and say, look, let's build enough refilling stations. Let's factor in the fact that people don't have enough money. How much are they going to pay to convert? Let's put all these things into consideration. That is where leadership is in love with the people, not these things we are doing here.
All right, you can join the conversation 0916-893-1000, 0911-333-893. On Facebook, Adekunle Ojo Christiana says, good morning. Good morning. Favor Dami says, good morning, all the way from Ologweru. Thank you so much. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, West Radio.
Good morning.
This is Alami. I'm calling back.
Okay,
why the line went off that time. Okay. So as I was saying, just when one was hoping and hoping that Mr. President, we do more in putting soccer into our lives. Is now removing the subsidy on the CNG again. This is bad, honestly speaking. And this is one of the things that would have made life easier for the masses. So one begins to wonder what exactly Mr. President has for the poor, honestly speaking. Because even to convert the cars to CNG, 750,000 naira is for the 4 plugs cars, and now 50,000 naira is for the 6 plug cars. And then you now imagine, and if one manages to do this, CNG is now on the rise again. Mr. President should please feel the pulse of the poor masses. You should feel our pulse.
Thank you.
The headache is too much. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you for your contribution on the show this morning. All right. Let's move on to the Daily Trust newspaper, where Obasanjo Abdusalami Jonathan pushed for accessible healthcare. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo on Tuesday expressed concern that millions of Nigerians still trek long distances to access medical services, with many losing their lives to preventable diseases such as malaria. Nigeria bears the highest malaria burden in the world, accounting for about 27% of global cases and 31% of malaria-related deaths. And the 2023 World Malaria Report estimated around 200,000 malaria deaths in the country in the year 2023, with children under 5 more vulnerable and accounting for about 80% of the malaria deaths in Nigeria in 2022. And they were speaking at the launch of a particular health hub in Abuja. And former President Obasanjo said that it was unacceptable that in an era that is driven by artificial intelligence, a Nigerian child could still die from malaria simply because a mother could not afford to take her to the nearest health facility. And so, as well as former President Jonathan, former head of state General Salami Abubakar, retired, also described Nigeria's medical facilities as grossly inadequate. And former President Goodluck Jonathan stated that digital solutions are crucial to enhancing access to quality healthcare. Now, this is coming at a time where there's a story in the Vanguard newspaper where a particular doctor who was on duty, Nigerian doctors, a particular doctor in River State University Teaching Hospital, was trying to get that, RSUth, slumped during work hours after working 72 hours
yes.
call duty rather, and it was gathered that he was a former president of the Port Harcourt University Medical Students Association, and he was on call for 72 hours. That's continuous call for 3 days, and then he collapsed, he slumped, and then later died, and that has caused the president of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, NAD, Dr. Tokpe Oshindara, to describe the incident as something that is preventable and a damning reflection of Nigeria's collapsing health system.
You see, when you talk of healthcare system, it takes a lot. We can't have good health system if we don't look at, because I'm thinking in terms of people living in the rural communities. Do we have power in the rural communities? We don't. You can't build good health system in a community where there's no power. Because some of these drugs, they have to be preserved. What do we use to preserve them? So it's a multifaceted problem that we are facing. We cannot, everything depends, power. If I have been to some rural communities in this southwest. If I tell you I have been to Ibabo or Kiamu, Itesiwaju local government area, I've been to, there's a place they call Batako. I've been to Akpengbe. These people are living there. If you go to these places, you can't see not even a patent medicine dealer. What do they do? These are the places where you see somebody that is concocting one leaf or the other and giving people to drink. We have a long way to go, Tolu, and all because we don't have proactive leadership. A leadership that looks ahead. We sit down and think. We have many communities in Nigeria. How do we reach out to these people? Whatever you are doing in the city, without it reflecting on the people, you are not doing anything. Most Nigerians are living in rural communities. That's where they reside. So, Obasanjo or Jonathan and Abu Salami are really talking about city. Go to rural communities, you weep for our people. The water they drink, the kind of food they eat, you weep for this country. All because we don't have good leadership. Leadership should see ahead. A visionary leader sees ahead of his people. That's a leadership where people see ahead of you. You are not a leader. You sit down and map out where do we take our people to in the next 10 years? Where will they be? And there's no continuity in our governance. That's the problem. Soldier go, soldier come. Barracks remain the same. Another group of people will come in again. We start all over again from the scratch. Nigeria is asking for restructuring in 21st century. This was what Ojukwu saw in 1960s at Aburi. Go and check Aburi Accord in Ghana. He saw it. He saw ahead of Nigerians and said, look, let's have this kind of government. They fought him. Now, in this present age, Nigerians are asking for restructuring. Something somebody asked for many, many years ago. That's a leader. When you are a leader, you see ahead of your people. You see ahead of them. And you plan ahead of them. That this is, go and read this. I will give you this book to read. From Third World to First World by Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore. Go and check how this man transformed this country from nothing. May God save Nigeria.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on the show this morning.
Thank you for having me, Tolu.
All right. Thank you so much to everyone who has been a part of the show this morning. To everyone who drops comments on Facebook, thank you so much for all your comments. And for those who called as well, thank you for always calling to contribute to the better growth of Nigeria. And Perspectives Unlimited returns tomorrow at exactly 6:30 a.m. As I would always say, wherever it is that you find yourself, always ensure that you do your best to put Nigeria out there in good light. God bless you. God bless Nigeria. I am Toluwaleke Alli.